little bumpy. Hundredths of a second. That's less than the blink of an eye.
Welcome to legendary Moritz, Switzerland, the birthplace of the sport of bobsledding, for the final race of the 2021-22 season. It's four-man bobsledding. Hello, everybody. John Morgan here. I'll be joined a little bit by Alana Myers-Taylor of the United States. 26 sleds from 16 nations. This is also the European Championships. Athletes are vying for spots to walk on the Olympic parade. They have to qualify through their own countries. They have to qualify through the IOC system. There's races within races. There's a race for the World Cup title. It's all going to unfold in front of you right here. And on this legendary track, that's the biggest ice sculpture in the world. And yes, if you walk up and down here in the summertime, you can barely tell there was anything here other than a farmer's field. Long straightaway, you know, a little bit of a curve to it, but then they get into this wall curve, and these big four-man sleds, these sport utilities, sort of pushes the sleds away. Hard to keep a consistent line through there. A lot of time won and lost. Now this two-corner combination called Snake 1, Snake 2. Into the sunny curve, well, because it gets so much sun. Nash and Dixon, two British guys who won the gold medal of the '64 Olympic Games, honorary members of the St. Moritz Bobsled Club. Look at this, Horseshoe, the most famous curve in the world. Telephone, Devil's Dyke, Shamrock. Look at these names on these curves. These names were given out over 100 years ago, and there's a story behind each one of these names. Now into Bridge, Tree, into Gunter Sachs. Fastest part of the track, close to 88 miles an hour in these big four-mans. Into Martineau, named after the original president of the St. Moritz Bobsled Club, Portago. It's, as the athletes call it, the most beautiful place to come and compete. It's like riding through the forest. They all love being here. Friedrich, as expected, he's the leader by a lot. Justin Cripps, Gatukovic. There could be some change up in the top three in the World Cup points. Christoph Hafer, he's back there at 11th. Here are all the numbers. You won't see all of these feds. Lamandine, keep your eyes on him. He's got to beat the Italians by about 5 spots to have a chance to get Great Britain to get 2 sleds into the Olympic Games. There's so many races within races, so many within each country, within each team. Then there's the World Cup title that's pretty slotted in, but there's our guy who's the leader of it. And Cripps, well, he's got a new guy at his team today. Hasn't used him all year. First time we're going to see that. And the beautiful Swiss Alps, the Engadin Valley, some spectacular place. Here's our start list. Dominik Dvorček will get things off for us, the multiple Olympian from the Czech Republic. And then the next 10, Hunter Church will start 10th. Ivo de Bruin, still looking for a top 12 result to please the selectors of the Dutch Olympic Committee. Dominik Dvorček, here he goes. You understand Dutch, or Czech Republic. And they call the starting four-man bobsled choreography on ice, and we already have a mishap. The number 3 guy couldn't get in. That's a start record, but that'll be broken about 10 times. So he's the first guy down. He's not at an advantage as much. The longer we go in the day, the warmer it gets, the track seems to get faster. So the only track on the planet you do not want to draw number 1 is this one. Dvorček, who won the World Cup bronze medal in the season title last year. Not having such a good year. Pretty simple. Doesn't have a very good back. Best finish of the season, a 12th at the opening event in Innsbruck. Listen to the noise in these big sport utilities. Hard to get these sleds in trouble. They have a mind of their own, but when they get in trouble, they go any place they want. So let's check out the numbers. 144 clicks, that's about 88 miles an hour. There's 105.47. You're probably going to see 104s, mid 104s. Okay, through and down. You know, that's going to be a fight to make the top 20. I think he's locked in there. I think that time's going to watch the mishap here on the left of our screen. Jump on that little sidebar there, and he slips. Looks like they got away with it. Look at the athleticism that he does to pull himself back in. That could have been a lot worse than it showed. Horseshoe, look at the yellow sign. When you see the yellow sign, a slight pull of the left D-ring to get yourself to exit with a slingshot effect. Okay, Team Tintea. Young Romanian, he's operating under wounded conditions, but Romanians are always here. Start, well, he's 100 worse. Pretty good starter though. Best start of the year. The first two races, it was 16th and 15th. Since then, he has not matched that, but he'll be going to the Olympics. The youngest guy in the field, because he's been the youngest guy in the field since he came out at the Contenders World Championships in 18 or in 17. Tap up there, mistake out of the snake. Now look at the aerodynamics. I don't like we can see a lot of those people behind us, behind the driver. This is a super speedway. This is about hundreds of seconds. This is about aerodynamic drag. Besides the driving, besides the equipment and the start time, you have to sit in that sled and be in a perfect aerodynamic profile. Ooh, big mistake there out of Gunter Sachs. Second best speed. He won't finish the top, probably 20 hundredths, 24. Yep. I don't like their aerodynamic profiles on that sled. But through and down, him and Dvorak, well, they're 16th and 18th in the standings, so that's the norm. Here's a mistake. Look at that dive out of this, between the snake curves into Sunny. That hurt. Then down here in the speed part of the track, you can lose time. Not as much as you can up top. Next up, our Olympic silver medalist from South Korea, Team Youngjung-won. Kim, and Young will join him. Has had a pretty rough season. Seems to be doing a little bit better in two-man. There's a much better start. Best start of this year, best finish was a 14th. That was in the Winterberg #2 race. Look at the clear visor in the eyes. Up by 20. Ooh, he barely got through the apex there. This is Snake, 1-2. Sunny. 2400. Knowing the eyes and hands he's got, he should grow this, should have the best speeds. Horseshoe perfect, but he does not. 2200's third best speed, so he might not have the runners on him. That 2200's, that could go away quickly, but he's hanging in there. Whoa. Third best speed. Should have enough to be the leader though. By 19 or 20 hundreds, 2400s, 2500s. Track record. Yeah, he's the leader with 3 down. Quite a few more thrill seekers to come down the track as of a moment. Pretty quiet, nobody discussing things. Little tap here and there. You know, down here where the speeds are fast, doesn't hurt you as much. Good exit in Horseshoe. Slingshot to the bottom. Didn't have great speed, but, you know, he's the leader. I don't know how long that's going to be because one of the top athletes comes up. Next. Okay, Andrianov from Russia, the next athlete. He's had some moments. 6th in Winterberg last time out. He was flying in training. 10th in World Cup points. Ooh, it's skidding. He ties. Look at the velocity on the left. Did that skid cost him? No. They still have the best velocity, even with that skid. But he won't be the last person we see skidding. Pretty good aerodynamic profile by his team. Don't see anybody with shoulders back there. Listen to the noise of these big sport utilities, as I call them. Trucks, really. 600 back. Best speed, though. Juan didn't have the best speed down here, so he can get that 600s back. 400, here it comes, best speed. Got a chance. Remember Juan hitting in the straightaway. See how straight he gets here. Right down the middle. Chance for the best speed. He's got it. This one's another too close to call. 100th either way. 200's the track record. So good driving on the bottom by Mr. Andrianov. He'll take that. Don't know how good that's going to be. Juan is way back in 16th in points. Andrianov in 10. Watch the entry into the sled. A lot of cohesion here. Number 2 guy waiting for the 3 guy to get settled. Or the 3 guy, excuse me. Waiting for the brakeman to get settled. And down here, can we see any shoulders? We see some back there, but it looks like the number 3 guy. I'll give them A- on their aerodynamic profile. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Justin Cripps, Ryan Summer, Cam Stones. Jay Dearborn is the new guy, CFL guy. That first time he's ever going to be competing with Cripps. Let's see how they do at the start. Oh, we got straight start record, 5:03, the best velocity. Cripps, you know, he's all over the World Cup points. 2nd in World Cup points. 2nd in Altenburg. And Friedrich isn't riding with his team today. He's got a replacement in. So, I don't know if Cripps can catch anybody, but he's really got to make some mistakes not to be 2nd overall in World Cup points. He got on the podium in that 2-man. Ooh, rough transition there. 3,500 tough, that's enormous. 3rd best speed. Little drift. 2nd best speed, he's improving. 40/100s. Track record. 28. Lost a little bit on the bottom. We'll take that. Brand new brakeman there, Jay Dearborn. Then Coquille. Tied for the most 4-man medals.
Boy, Jay! Good job, man. Good job.
Cam Stones talking to Jay Dearborn, the brakeman. It's his first ever World Cup 4-man competition run with Team Cripps. He comes in last. He's in charge of getting these push bars down, and he gets them down. Boy, Cripps used all the curve there in horseshoe. Obviously, he did something right. Down here, this was a rough transition. Look where the sled rocked there. He likes it. Okay, now up to the top. Johannes Lochner, Florian Bauer, Christian Weber, Crispin Rasp. Lochner's 5th in World Cup points. Got a chance to move up ahead of Brad Hall. Gonna need to beat him by 3-4 places to get him maybe the 4th. Real reach to get to Gatukovic. Johannes, you know, has his moments this year, but a little inconsistent. Just saw his parents sitting in the finish. They came over from Berchtesgaden. He's born about a mile from the track. And his father was a bobsledder. His mom, but his Uncle Rudy was really good. Rudy won a silver medal in the World Championship or the Albertville Winter Olympic Games in '92. Johannes needs to find something here. Almost 7 start, 15 back, best speed though. Great line there. Great line out of Shamrock. See if he can get back, best speed, 14. He's gonna run out of track. Cripps, I think he's gonna get him. See by how much Motors, best speed to finish. Single digits should be. 4. Okay, game on there. Lockwood got beat by 400s at the start. He got beat by 400s at the finish. Lockwood drove a better sled. That was rough out of the Snake. Snake 2. That's the second sled we've seen do that. And this is into the skid that goes into Nash Dixon. Horseshoe, medium low. But had the best speed. That could be the best line. Great aerodynamic profile. A+ for the team. Swiss bells. Good sign. We have a Swiss athlete coming down, Michael Vogt. He's 8th in World Cup points, best finish of the year. 6th in Altenburg, number 2. A lot of noise up top. Let's see if it energizes these 4 guys. 3rd best start. 1000s out. Check out the velocity. 3rd best. Okay. 2007, the World Championships were here. My commentary box was at the finish line. It was unbelievable. The noise at the bottom. Ivo Rug won the gold medal here. I was in a football stadium, not on an outdoor bobsled track. It was unbelievable. So, got some good results on this track, but boy, he's down by 1/4 of a second. Top 3 speed will give him a chance. Best speed. Ooh, a tap out of Shamrock. Oh, 1700s back. He's bringing it back, 17. He might get it down to single digits just like Lochner did. Needs to be straight in the Gunter Sack straightaway into Martineau with the best speed. Could be single digits. Flying on the bottom. And it is 200s. That puts 3 sleds within 400ths of a second. Wow. Gave up a little time at the start. Gave up 1000ths at the start. Lost by 200ths at the bottom. Look at the aerodynamic profile. I'll give those guys an A-. Good exit. That's where he got the speed, the slingshot effect out of Horseshoe. Down here, he taps a little bit out of Shamrock. That's a little bit. There's a couple hundreds there. Michael Vogt through and down. He's in a medal position. Now joined by Alana Myers-Taylor of the United States. Alana, welcome to the booth.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations on winning 2 World Cup titles.
Thanks.
The last 2 days. And Alana, we got a lot of excitement in front of us here. Team Brad Hall, he's 4th in World Cup points. Started off the season with 2nd in Innsbruck, and he's got 2 more seconds since then. And some good athletes here. And Alana, as you know, as you did this first heat this morning, did have a good start in the second heat. You blew the start record away. Is the start as important on this track as other tracks?
The start's important everywhere, especially with this flat part at the top. As you can see, there's not much going on, so you want to have that speed going into the straightaways.
Brad Hall, he has, him and Gatukovic are my 2 athletes with the breakout year. And he's been great in the 2-man, great in the 4-man. Had a couple bad races. He's 4th in World Cup points. He's only 1000ths behind the Russian Gatukovic, which he could, he beats Gatukovic by 1 spot. He could get into the top 3 with those World Cup Globe trophies, just like the ones you received the last 2 days.
Yeah, Brad's really had a great year, and he's really brought it on. And he's anchored by Greg Tackett in the back, who has really done a lot to promote the brakeman and promote brakemen in general.
Okay, Good speed down here, only 1,500s back. This looks like a number 2 maybe. Ooh, but 5th best speed. That could hamper his top 3. Ooh, 4, 13. He's 1,300s out, 4 sleds. That's what this track is. It's close for him, man, isn't it?
This track is very close, and as we see, as the track gets faster and faster, it's going to get more difficult and more slippery.
You certainly don't want to go early. You went early in the first heat this morning.
Yeah, you know, the track is a little bit slower at the beginning, and it speeds up the more sleds that go down, but it also gets more difficult to drive. As you can see there, Brad had a little bit of skid coming off that corner. It's definitely getting slick out there.
A lot of people having problems in the Snake, on the exit of the Snake 2 into Sunny. It's about the 3rd sled. Is that a good line? Is that where he wants to start coming out, or is that late? Look at the way he turned. That's a lot of steering there, wasn't it?
You know, Horseshoe's a little funky this year. You always want to have great height, but that entrance into Telephone is super important.
Okay, Brad Hall through and down. And okay, here's the story. Francisco Friedrich, Martin Growth Cup. Alexander Rodeker, first event of the year. Alexander Schuler. Now, Rodeker, who's won Olympic medals, World Championship gold medals on different German team sleds, he tore his bicep up 2 months ago. Unbelievable. He had to go to rehab, then he got COVID. This is his fixture. This is his swan song. This is his last race of his career. What a workout athlete he is, huh?
Yeah, that's an amazing comeback. You know, nobody even thought he'd be in the sled again, but to have him here and to push as well as he has, it's incredible.
509, 600s off the top start, and he's the lead, which is Cripps. Give Cripps a chance to maybe beat this guy who hasn't lost a 4-man race this year in 2 seasons. 500s to 4. 3rd best speed only. Great exit out of Shamrock.
That's really going to help him carry speed down the track.
300s coming back.
These last couple curves are going to be super important. If he's clean here, he can pick up more time.
Look at the speed. If he gets best speed in the finish, doesn't have it. Well, but it says green numbers. He could be another one too close to call. 400s, he does it. Wow, how did he find that speed on the bottom part of the track? But as you said, Alana, if you're straight down here, you can pick up speed. So he has the 4th best start. Let's look at Rodeker. Watch him. The camaraderie here. For him to reward Rodeker.
Little skid out of there. Friedrich got to work a little bit hard to get that sled straight, but he does it expertly.
Rodeker was competing before you started, and you started in 2007, right?
Yes.
So Rodeker was competing in 2007.
That's amazing.
And he's still here. Isn't that amazing?
It's amazing.
Congratulations to Alexander Rodeker. If they show us automatic, there's Friedrich, but Rodeker, they're doing this race in his honor. Okay, now we move on. Hunter Church, Josh Williamson, Chris Horn, Charles Volker. Boy, they had some starts last week, didn't they?
Yeah, Team Church is really starting to come together, really starting to put together right before the games, which is great timing.
Good start in the sled quickly. 5:02 start record. Ilana, is this start here the result of that push track in Lake Placid?
You have to think so. You know, those guys have been working really hard, working to gel and get some time together, and it shows.
He just made a mistake there on the entry to wall. Looks like he turned too much. We'll side 500s up. He should be more than that here, and he's already back 300s. I think that entry into wall, the back end of the sled went up on him.
Yeah, you know, Hunter doesn't have a lot of runs down these tracks. He's pretty new to Europe, but he's going to put it together eventually. So he's just looking for clean runs here. A little difficulty out of that curve.
9th best speed, 1200s back. He's in 5th, he's in 6th.
He can pick up some time if he's clean down here in Gunter Sachs. Nice straight lines.
What's it feel like coming down there? How smooth is this track, Alana?
Well, this is one of the most fun tracks in the world. You're just really flying when everything's going right.
2700s, he's in front of the Russian Andrianov. Best start though, 5:02. That's very encouraging for the United States when you post the best starts.
It's been a long time coming. You know, our men's team has had a bit of a drought, but now to put together the fastest starts in an Olympic year, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he hits that little exit to Monty's Bolt, and then this causes a problem right here into Dixon, which sets you up for the famous horseshoe curve here. Little skid there. Tough to get these four-mans into skids, but when they get into skid, they have the mind of their own.
They definitely do, and having driven one, I know all too well.
Okay, here's a guy, Oskar Skiebermanis. He's 6th in World Cup points. He's got a silver medal at the second event of the year, a 5th in Altenburg, but really hasn't peaked. I would say this guy is underachieving. I don't understand it, Alana.
You know, there's a lot of different factors that go into it. Confidence is one thing, and just physically, how is he? How's the equipment running? Everything. And, you know, much like me, he could be testing all season to try and get the right combo for the games.
Should have a good start here. Should be 5:04, 5:06. These are well-schooled athletes. 5:08. Watch the velocity. 5th best speed, 2nd best velocity. That's getting in the sled and getting around that curve. How difficult it is to get around that first curve.
In the afternoon races, that first curve can be really tricky. I haven't seen a four-man out of there during training that didn't hit. These top couple curves are super important. If you make a mistake up here, it's very hard to get that speed back at the bottom of the track.
Ooh. Brakeman's head moving around there in the back. I didn't like that. Speed. Oh, he's only 100 back. Latvians have got a history of doing well on this track. Milbardis, Janins Minins, way back to Sandis Prusis. Green numbers, best speed. This is looking positive for a guy that I say has been in a slump. This should be pretty good. Ooh, mistake there. This would be pretty good for his attitude going into Beijing with the top run here. He's got it. Wow, 2/10. Sandis. Come on, show us some emotion, Sandis Prusis.
Very impressive speeds and impressive run by Skiebermanis.
There's something to celebrate about.
If you would ask me at the beginning of the season, I'd say he definitely was playing for the medals. I think this run was definitely more of what he's capable of.
He's got the equipment, he's got the team. Of course, his brakeman has come back to him. Mattis Minkins has been hurt, but hey, maybe you want to peak in February and not December, right?
Definitely, it's all about February. And for us seasoned drivers, you know, we're just working towards those games.
Here's our results. Oskar Skiebermanis from Latvia ahead of Francisco Friedrich, Justin Cripps, 18 more sleds to go.
You know, to be 1900s ahead of Friedrich, that's a pretty good drive there.
That's a pretty good drive, is right. Next up is a German sled. Christoph Hafer, Mikael Salazar, Matthias Sommer, Tobias Schneider. Doesn't get great starts, but I'm always impressed with his driving.
Well, little difficulty there out of the kink. Let's see if we can straighten it out.
7th best start, 7th best velocity. See some shoulders back there. I don't like that. Oh, and you see the shoulders get down a little bit, but I don't like that. And this super speedway, every 100th of a second counts. Look at the leaderboard. There's 4 sleds, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th are separated by about 10 hundredths.
He's pretty smooth up here, though. Let's see if he can make up some time, especially with a good exit or horseshoe. He can reel some people in.
Came from the sport of luge. Ooh, 100 back. Is the track getting faster, Alana?
The track always gets faster here, but you know, as it gets faster, it also gets a little bit more tricky to navigate.
11th best speed, 6 back. This is still the 2nd position. 3rd, maybe. Hafer putting it down. He was really good in training. 11th best speed in the finish. He should fall back 10 hundredths back. 19, 2nd, not bad. It's tied to the 100th with Friedrich. Don't like that.
You know, he had a little bit of advantage going off a little bit later in the order, but it's really going to come down to the 2nd heat when everybody's more grouped together to see how they all fall.
This is the German 3 sled, but right now he's tied with the most famous German sled, Francisco Friedrich. He's ahead of Lochner. Ooh.
Really had to work hard there to get the sled back online.
How much steering is that when you come late in a curve like that? You have to Robin Hood it or just a minor steer?
Here you have to give it a pretty good steer in order to get it back online. When you're late in those curves, Telephone and Shamrock, it's really difficult to get out there without a hit or a skid.
Okay, Team Gatukovic, Morisov, Travkin, Laptov. He's 3rd in World Cup points. This is a big run for this young Russian.
You know, he has just been so impressive this season, and it is going to be really interesting to see how he can handle the pressure of the games.
6th best velocity. That looked like a pretty lot of friction around that first curve. You see some red shoulders back there. Shouldn't see him. That's the number 2 guy. But he's 800ths ahead. What's that tell you? Wow.
You know, it's a really good indication of aero. When you're gaining time at that straightaway, your guys are doing the right thing in the back.
900s. He went late. Last 2 or 4 sleds, including Kibermanis, really started to motor in the super speedway, the bottom part of this track, which Talladega and Daytona is the NASCAR. St. Moritz is the bobsledding. Speed's up there, 88 miles an hour. He's only 100 back, 7th best speed. This could be a 2nd best run. He's trying to maintain 3rd in the World Cup standings. Get one of those big crystal globes. 8th best speed. 1500ths back, 2nd best. Just gotta like that, don't you think?
Yeah, you know, he's making little mistakes down the track, but what he's really doing well is he's really being smooth with his steers. So that allows you to get a little bit more mistakes and allows you to be a little skittish here and there because he's just smooth. It's really impressive by this young Russian.
So do you steer in the same spot every time down the track, or you steer as it's needed down the track?
You definitely take it as it comes. You have to take each curve based off of how you get in there.
Here, this is a little bit of a skid. This was worth a couple hundreds, right?
Definitely a little bit of skid. He's a little skittish everywhere, but you know, like I said, he's just being really smooth with his drives and not overdriving, and that helps accelerate the sled, even if your lines don't look the best.
So the young Russians in 2nd. Now Taylor Austin, Daniel Sunderland, Chris Patrician, and Shaq Murray Lawrence. Murray Lawrence, another CFL player in the back of one of these Canadian sleds. He's had a great season on the North America Tour.
Yeah, Taylor Austin has really worked hard to try and earn this Olympic bid, and we'll see how it turns out for him. Little mistake in that kink there. It's going to cost him some time. With a little bit of deficit in the start time, we'll see how it turns out.
Probably hasn't been here too often.
You can see he's really trying to get close to the front of the sled and reduce that aerodynamic drag.
Now we're seeing the Swiss athletes in the 2-man and the men and women duck their head in that straightaway.
You know, anything you can do to improve that aerodynamics is really going to give you an advantage.
Would you duck your head in that straightaway?
I don't have enough runs to stick my head anywhere.
So Taylor Austin into the bottom part of this speed track. He's from Calgary, another football player.
Little bit of flat lines here, especially out of horseshoes. Just needs to let the sled run a little bit more to gain some speed.
Now into the finish. He's probably his first World Cup here ever in his career. He's probably might have been here in the Europa Cup or something.
But 5th best speed.
12th overall. So again, you know, he beat 2 sleds, Dvorak and Tantaya, but they went down 1st and 2nd. They were at a big disadvantage. You know, there'll be 8 sleds cut from here. I think he's going to be right. He should be there. He should be okay. Looks a little low here, right?
Little low at the entrance of horseshoe. You really need that height in the curve to give you that speed down to the bottom half of the track. So he's going to come flat out and really get onto this next curve telephone early, which makes it so much harder to navigate these lower curves.
Little touch there. How'd you do in the entrance to exit to Shamrock? You hit a few times?
Had a little trouble, especially in the 2-man. Monobob was great. 2-man had a little trouble.
Okay, some more Americans up to the top. Frank Del Duca, Hakeem Sabor, Abdul Sabor, Carlo Valdez, Kyle Wilcox. These guys, their first ever event together was last week, and he did pretty good.
Yeah, you know, Frankie's really new to the World Cup, really getting his legs underneath of him and figuring out what it's like to compete at this level.
Pretty good start, top 5 start.
Yeah, not bad start. Had a little trouble coming out of the kink. It's really going to be important to see how he comes out of this straightaway.
Bethel, Maine. Kinesiology guy. He's got a little auto racing background.
Yeah, you should see Frank in the car. He really knows how to drive things. So it's going to be really impressive to see how his driving career in a bobsled progresses. You know, he's only been driving this quad, so really looking forward to see what he's got in the tank.
He's never been, oh, he did take some trips on this track a couple years ago when he started. It's only 1900s back. Ooh, big hit there. 4th best speed. This isn't bad, Alana.
Yeah, having a little bit of trouble just letting it run a little bit too much. Needs to take control of this 4-man a little bit more, but not bad at all for a young pilot.
Yeah, 10th to 11th. Ooh, some mistake there. Ooh, that's the hardest hit we've seen yet. But that was a mistake up in bridge that caused that. 15th best speed. He's going to really struggle now to make the cut. 14th. He only beats one sled. That's going to be tough. Boy, he had it going pretty good, too, to the bottom part of the track. Those are the worst lines we've seen in the bottom part of the track yet.
Yeah, he had a little bit of rough. You could tell his rhythm was a hair off, and when it's a hair off on this track, it just costs you.
Well, another rookie. How was that line?
You know, you want the height in horseshoe. That's a little high, takes a little tap there, but still not too bad. He started down a little bit too soon, which put him a little bit early into that.
What do you do, panic here and steer it off there too quick?
Didn't steer enough. You know, when you're late in that curve, you really have to do a lot of work.
That is 1,380 pounds up in the air at 80 miles an hour. Wow. Big hit down there. That cost him a lot.
You know, for Frankie and Taylor Austin, it's been a long season with that America's Cup, so right now they're just looking to fine-tune their skills going into the games.
Okay, team. Spring, Mike Evelyn, Cody Sorensen, Sam Gregere, the CFL and NFL. Remind me the other day, he's also got 4 years in the NFL and has an NFL pension. So that's why Sam can afford to be out here chasing down, marching the Olympic parade, which he'll do. How impressed you are with Chris Spring?
Super impressed. You know, he's one of the most liked guys on tour. I don't know a single person who has anything bad to say about him, and he's one heck of a driver. And to come back from, you know, having COVID and to be out here, it's really impressive.
Only 800s back. That's a great sign with the 8th best start time. That's impressive. He gets this within a 10th or 12th down here and gets a top speed. He could have a chance to disrupt the top 3. Speed in the left. Oh, that's a little suspect, that speed. Sometimes the speeds don't register. They're coming off the sleds. Ooh.
Yeah, the track is really starting to speed up, but now as you see it starting to speed up, it's also getting a little bit slick. So you're seeing more and more pilots have a little bit of difficulty down in these curves.
8th best speed. This looks like a 9th, top 10 though. Yeah, 9th, 3,700s. That's not bad. He's 100th from Brad Hall, 1000s from Lochner. That's not bad. 8th best speed, 9th best finish. Chris Spring. Up here into horseshoe. Looks like he's got a little bit of adjustment. Goes on the wrong side of the straightaway, isn't he?
And a little bit of skid going into horseshoe that makes that entrance much more difficult. It looks like he might have gotten a little late in there, which is why he kisses the lip a little bit.
How daunting is it to go into that curve and see that wooden lip?
The lip is your friend, though. You know, the more height, the better. Maybe that lip put him down a little bit too soon, but generally, you want that height.
Okay. Team Suk from Korea is our next athletes. Our next thrill seekers on top of this historic track in Moritz, Switzerland. Lee, Kim, and Yang are, excuse me, I got the wrong team there. Oh, that's correct. Oh, he's not going to make it. He's not going to, can't, there's no way he's going to get in.
He's in. He's in.
Oh, what an athlete to pull himself back in. Yay.
A little bit of difficulty there. Going to really cost him some time. Right now, the most he can hope for is to get a second run.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. He's already 7,200s back. He's going to be, boy, it's a minute 2 is Tintea is back, and he's already a minute back. 9,400s. Minute. Second back.
A little low in horseshoe, and you can tell those guys are not comfortable in the back of that sled there. But they're definitely just fortunate.
Yeah, they might not even be sitting in the sled properly, right?
Doesn't look like it.
Boy. Then to go down 85 miles an hour, 4 Gs, 3 or 4 or 5 places on the track, you're not sitting comfortably? Well, these are thrill seekers, but sometimes it's not such a thrill.
You know, that's the crazy thing about 4-man is anything can happen when you have 4 big guys hop into a little sled.
He will not make a second run. unless 4 other teams, 6 other teams do that. Well, let's see what they say here before they show us the good, the bad, and the ugly. See what the driver says. Yeah, they're on the left. What does he do? Miss?
Yep, completely missed the bunk there. He just puts him on the ice.
He completely missed it, though. Usually you slip when you hit it. He completely missed it.
Just completely missed it, and he's very fortunate to get in the sled. You know, if you take away one thing from this run, that resilience to even get in the sled at that point is pretty impressive.
Okay. Up to the top. This is an important run. This is an athlete trying to qualify for the Winter Olympic Games. Ivo de Bruin, Jan Franchuk, his brother Janko Franchuk, and Dennis Venker on the brakes. 1300s back at the start.
You know, Ivo's been in the sport for a while, and I can't think of a single person who doesn't want to see him qualify. He's worked so hard, but let's see what kind of run he can put down.
I'm very impressed with the Dutch kit, the colors of their uniforms, the colors of the sled, colors of the jackets. Of course, those are orange. But how about Kimberly Boss winning the women's skeleton title? How about cool is that?
You know, that was really awesome. And it's always nice to see different countries on top of the podium and to see them leading the overall.
And how about Australia winning women's skeleton? Can you believe that? That was a big way to start off the weekend.
They've worked really hard to do whatever they can to try and get some athletes in the sport. And you know, she drove one heck of a race.
So Ivo, 15th best speed. Need to get it moving. At the moment, he's 16th.
11th best speed at the bottom, though. He's picking up some time.
He does. He's a good, accomplished pilot. 14th. That'll probably get him in the field. But, you know, he's got certain results. I think the Dutch would qualify him in. I'm not the Dutch, but the IBSF standings would qualify him in. But I think the Dutch Olympic standards are a little more strict.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy. For each country has a different standard, and it really just depends on what the country decides to who's going to the games.
Yeah, he hasn't hit the numbers they put in front of him, but they could alter that demand. And got a little high here, but boy, everybody's got a little problem in Shamrock. Okay, we move on. Number 19, Roman Heinrich. Lefebvre, Delmistri, Laporel. Roman Heinrich, an engineer driving a sled. People say he's obsessed with the equipment.
That makes sense coming from an engineering background. And, you know, sooner or later, he's definitely going to figure it out. He's still relatively inexperienced as a pilot, but he's been impressive.
10th in World Cup points in the two-man. 15th here, his best finish. 8th in Altenburg a couple weeks ago.
That kink is really getting slick up there. It's really getting difficult to navigate, especially for these four-man.
What can you do to get around there?
You know, we've tried different things in training. It's been really challenged. It's one of those things where you might just have to take the hit and do the best you can with it. Little flop off of there, puts him in the skid. Puts him a little sideways into Sunny. It's going to make it difficult to have smooth bottom half of the track here.
A little bit of waiver there. Let's see what his speeds are. 2600 back. That's not bad. It's 11th, second best speed though. That's impressive.
He definitely did a good job avoiding that hit out of Shamrock, and it's really going to help him down at the bottom half of the track.
He's up to 11th. Boy, he keeps it this pace. He can get up into the top 10. Ooh, that looked late there. Third best speed. That is very impressive. Should get in the top 10. 10, 4100s back, 400s from Spring, 500s from Hall. He's got the chance to get a top 7 or top 8 here with a great second run.
You got to wonder if that engineering background is really allowing him to pick the best equipment. Certainly doesn't hurt.
And up here, boy, that Snake 2 is causing a lot of problems up there. Did you have any problems with it in women's bob?
You know, in the mornings at that 9 a.m. race, it's really sticky. The track is nice and sticky, so you have a lot of grip. These later races in the day, you know, this track sure does get slick. He's got to be happy coming down in 10th place and with the room to make it up.
Here comes our Brazilians team, Bindalati. You know, you feel for these guys. There's some Summer Olympic athletes in this field, aren't there?
Such a great group of guys, you know. They're top to bottom. They're really quality, high character guys.
And right now, they're going to qualify for the Olympic Games. Bindalati's third. I think he's got at least 1 or 2 summer games as a decathlete. Boy, the shoulders, you can see a lot of green behind him.
Bindalati's been in the sport for a long time now, and these guys don't have a lot of experience racing at this level, so right now it's all about prepping for those games and getting that kind of experience.
Lake Placid native Brian Burgoyne's their coach, right?
Yeah, Brian's done a great job with them, getting them and Monobob pilot Mariana up to speed. You know, it's really impressive to see these athletes go out and get after it week after week.
That's so nice to talk to these guys. It's, ooh, watch out, you got to late, he's going to hit hard there. Yeah, didn't have a good exit of horseshoe.
Without that good exit of horseshoe, it's really hard to get into Telephone and Shamrock properly. He's going to be a little back in speed, going to be a little back in time. But you know, for him, he's got 8 races, he's got 7 races already. It's all about just getting more and more experience leading into the games.
Yeah, he's sliding St. Moritz, 158.19. He goes behind Tintea, so he's in front of Sook, of course, but I don't think that's going to be enough to make the cut. Still got some pretty good sleds to come. Trico.
Really love the design of that sled and the colors of the sled. Like, it looks amazing coming down this white ice track.
Well, here he is in horseshoe.
Pretty flat line there. It's going to be really difficult to have the proper speed out of horseshoe when you're that flat going in.
Pretty impressive watching these athletes train. I saw him in Lake Placid. But here he comes out too early, huh? Taps before he gets in?
Definitely comes out too early, and then it puts him on to the next curve a little bit early. But, you know, he's excited. He's going to the games, just getting ready for what's to come ahead.
Okay, after 20 sleds, the Latvians, Oscar Kibermanis is in the lead. Russians are in second, Francisco Friedrichs in third. Now we have our Italian friends, Patrick Bumgardner, Constantino Ubi, Alex Berger, and Lorenzo Bilato.
You know, it's really great to see Simone Battazzo coaching them and to see athletes come back to the sport as coaches. You know, it's really been great to see the Italian team. And, you know, they're going to have great results, but they're also looking to those next games in Milan Cortina.
You talk about Simone Battazzo. I think that was the last Italian medal in 2007 in the World Championships here in this track. With Simone, I think, in the 2-man.
He's got a lot of experience, and, you know, now as a coach, he's just trying to give it to these guys as much as possible. Him and Manuel Mahada just, you know, they're coaching these guys up and trying to get them ready for these games.
Hanging in there, like 15th, 16th place off the 20th best start time. Junior world champion in 2012.
Anytime you can have a start deficit and pick up time down the track, that's what you want to see. These are really good lines at the bottom of the track. He's really going to pick up some speed here. 18th best speed, 16th, 20th best start.
16th or 15th, 16 or 15, 17, 80 hundredths, just in front of Frank Del Duca. Yeah, we're on the bubble now, so Sook is out. Bindalati from Brazil is on the bubble. And there's some good sleds yet to come, and they put the brakes on too quick, and this is into horseshoe. Where's your line? Where do you like to go? Not that direction, right?
That's definitely going to put him late into horseshoe, which gives him that height, which puts him at the lip. You know, right now, that high line kissing the lip just is pushing you out of horseshoe way too soon and making it really difficult to get on telephone in the proper time.
Can you feel the exit when you do it well?
When you hit this exit of horseshoe, you feel the sled accelerate, and it is one of the greatest feelings in a bobsled.
So the Chinese are withdrawn. So there's 2 sleds out of the field. Marcus Treichel, Marcus Glurp, Sebastian Mittier, and Robert S. Lager.
You know, the Austrian team has been really hit hard with COVID this year. Right now, they're just really trying to get together and figure out who's going to Beijing and what it's going to look like. So right now, it's all experience for them.
So the last 2 events, he missed Wittenberg because of COVID, but he got 10th and 10th in the 2 previous events. And seems to me he's starting to figure things out. He's been around for breakout, I think, was the 2015 World Championships in Altenburg, or in Innsbruck, his home track, excuse me. It's only 1,400s back. That's pretty good.
That's great top for Trico so far. Looks like he has a pretty good entrance into there.
14th best speed. Oh, tap out of Shamrock. He's not the only one.
Looks like everybody's starting to have a little bit of problems as this track speeds up with those telephone and Shamrock curves.
Bottom. What's it feel like coming down that straightaway at 80 miles an hour?
If you nail that straightaway, your sled just starts to whistle, and you can literally feel the wind rush past you.
15, 6,500's out. So that takes care of Ben Delati. He's out. Two more sleds.
You know, Trico and the Austrian team, the entire Austrian team has really been hit hard, so you got to think they're going to be happy with this performance. You know, to get back out there and be able to figure it out and be back to sliding with everything that's been going on, kudos to them.
A lot of challenges. The sport's one thing, but COVID's another.
You know, this pandemic has changed things for a lot of athletes, not only limiting pilots, you know, if you get COVID and can't race and miss a race, but also limiting the training athletes are able to do in the off season.
This is a big run for Lamondines' team. Sam Blachette, Luke Dawes, and the 2012 Olympic champion in long jump, Greg Rutherford. They need to finish 3 or 4 sleds ahead of the Italians for points.
It's always great to see athletes from the summer games convert to the winter games, and hopefully this works out. Push bars are out. This is going to cost them a lot of time in the straightaway.
Got to get them in.
Get them in. I don't know if they know.
Nope. This is dangerous. 2,900's back. And if, you know, they're in now, you think the G-force, or they put them in?
The walls, fortunately, put them in for them, but, you know, that having them out at the top of the track costs them a lot of time. That top part of the track is all about aerodynamics, and having 2 push bars out makes it really difficult.
Well, you're rooting for him to make a second run to give him a chance. 5,400's back. He's right on the bubble now. Bang there, 18th best speed.
You know, not a bad run so far, but having that deficit at the top is really difficult to overcome.
Well, he's hanging in there at 20. 15th best speed.
Not bad speed.
92. He's in 20th exactly. So, I don't know. That means Frank Del Duca will get in the race. There's only 1 sled left. Well, I'd like to see what they say about those golden push bars.
You know, they're pretty to look at, but not when they're outside of the sled too long. Little low at the entrance of Horseshoe.
A lot of steering right there, though, right?
Whenever you're that flat, you got to do a little bit of steering to make up for it.
Ooh, it looks like he hit before the telephone. Look at the skid in the back end of the sled. Ooh.
He's definitely working hard to get back online. Like I said, this track just gets so slippery in the afternoon races. The second heat will be even more difficult for these pilots.
Emil Sipulus from Latvia. Kleinenbergs, Kaufmanis, Lindenblatts behind him. Upcoming pilot, he's started to learn a little bit on tour. Ooh, hard hit. Not bad start though, 10th best start.
Another push bar out. Hopefully the brakeman recognizes and can get that in. That's also going to cost him.
See the helmet. I don't know if that one's coming in. It did. No, I think right there it probably did. Looks like it hit. No, it's still out.
Still out.
That's dragging. Lamondines watching this. He doesn't want to see the Latvian come down and beat him. Oh, the push bar's bent now.
If he makes the second heat, that's definitely going to be interesting to see how that sled held up.
Ooh. Well, he's 17th at the moment.
23rd best speed. He's really going to have a smooth bottom of the track to make sure he's in the second heat.
He had a 16th at Innsbruck to start the season. Ooh, big skid there. Hard to get these four-mans and skids like that at that speed, but he did. 22nd best speed. Well, Lamindine's looking at this. I don't think he's going to do it. Lamindine be the first guy out. Yes, 22nd. Well, not a very good start. Had some equipment hassles. But really the first year we've seen this guy out on tour. You know, right?
Yeah, you know, it's all about experience, especially on this track where it changes every year and things are a little bit funky this year in particular. It's all about just getting that experience.
And the question is, does Latvia get two sleds? Four-mans, two crews. They don't. Latvia will get one sled. But they were right on the edge with Great Britain, so the numbers ain't over yet.
It's never over till it's over.
And that's true. And this here, that's hundreds of seconds, right? That's air.
Yeah, that push bar being out. Anytime those push bar is out, it's really going to cost you some time.
Saw some things flying out of the sled, too. Look, some kind of tape.
You know, it's really going to be interesting to see who eventually goes to the games, because also you got to rely on which country is going to nominate their athletes. Even if they get the IBSF spot, have they done enough?
Well, one Latvian won't make the run, but this Latvian team, Team Oskars Kibramanis, he's back in form. Latvians have done very well on this track over the years. And Kibramanis, who has not won this year, he's only had one podium, two podiums, once in two, once in four. You know, I've been saying he's in a slump. Well, maybe he's just wants to peak in February. This would be a good memory to get into the Beijing Olympics, knowing you were going to win the last race. And here's the standings. Kibramanis, Gatukovic. You know, Friedrich, there's some World Cup trophies on the line right there. Gatukovic is in second. He wants to fight off Justin Cripps. And Hunter Church in 11th. Taylor Austin from Canada, not bad. Ivo de Bruin, well, he's trying to impress the Dutch Olympic Committee. Gets up to 12th, 14th in the second run. And then Frank Del Duca had a rough first run, but it's the first World Cup for him on this track. Lamindine, he's still fighting his way into the games. He won't give up. So Alana Myers, for Alana Myers, I'm John Morgan. We're going to join you again. Come on back and see us in about a half hour. The final run of four-man Bob from the historic track in St. Moritz. Stay with us.